You know, the one thing I don't think gets discussed enough as a person who's lived their whole life in abusive relationships, which, let's be honest, most of us are, because we're repeating cycles and patterns until we realize that we have to get away. And once you get away, if you don't realize that you need to spend some time alone before you commit to something new, you're going to get stuck repeating patterns again. So, oh, there's dogs barking at the dog park across the street, which is going to get Odin to bark. Anyways, but what I think gets underestimated, and this is just from my experience, so it might not be everyone's, but for me, physically, once I started to reintegrate into feeling emotions and releasing my stories and trying to come out of survival mode, it was really shocking to me how burnt out I really was. Now, part of it is whatever things going on with my immune system, but again, that goes back to resisting our self, resisting our higher self. Anytime we feel a physical ailment of some kind or have a physical condition that is going against what we feel we should be feeling, that's because we're going against our highest good, right? It's the physical representation of us resisting ourselves. So we have to learn how to communicate with our higher self through the signals of our body and our emotions. And that can be hard. But while you're doing that, you might find yourself struggling with guilt because you're exhausted and you don't really want to get up. You don't really want to function. I mean, I was struggling with guilt and shame feelings, and I'm like, well, why do I feel guilty? Why do I feel shame? And it's because I feel like I should be doing more stuff with my kids right now. It's summer, it's nice out, but it's so much fucking work to do it alone with 3 kids. I just don't have it some days, so I have to kind of save for it, work up to it, because it is a lot of work with 3 kids of varying ages. And as a single parent with really nobody to call to help, I have my cousin who will spend time with me, but she has her own 3 kids of almost similar ages. So she even has one that's just left diapers, so she's actually got her hands even more full. So my point is, though, is it's a lot of energy to go out and take your kids places and do activities with them. And I've had to accept that I still just don't have it in me to do it all alone. All the packing and the planning and the organizing and the making sure we have all our stuff, yada yada. I did that for so long. For so many years. I worried and stressed and fought to survive. And now I just want to exist. But we do tend to underestimate how exhausted we are. So when we leave survival mode, it can be really shocking how much we want to just fucking sleep and just lay down and do nothing. Like some days I'm torn. I'm like, I'm tired, but I'm bored and I don't want to watch TV. I can't focus on a show. I don't want to do my crafting because I'm tired. I just don't have the ability to focus on it at that moment. So I just kind of want to lay out in the sun and just chill. And it's really hard to tell yourself that that's what you're supposed to be doing, right? Because let's face it, we grow up in a system that's like, you better work for your privilege to sit and do nothing. But I don't know how many of you guys out there are artists, but any of you who are, you're gonna know that when we sit still and do nothing and just like chill, that's when we get the best ideas. So I've been going with it for now, trying to get myself to do more chores than I normally do, but accepting that I just physically am exhausted still, even after a year since I left my abusers and my whole world changed. It changed completely. Crazy shit happened. So, yeah. If you feel exhausted, you're not alone. And if other people are trying to shame you or guilt you for your level of exhaustion, it's only because they're still in survival mode and they haven't let themselves relax. Because as soon as they do, they're going to realize how fucking tired they are too. So if they are criticizing you, it's probably because they're jealous. And they're probably like, man, I wish I was doing what you were doing right now. And you're you're like, yeah, you should. Right? And they're like, but I can't. I have a job and I have business. I'm like, oh, well, that sucks. I'm going to go lay out in the sun then. Okay, bye. So just, yeah, don't feel guilty for putting yourself first and doing the things you need to do to recover from decades. Well, okay, it depends how old you are. It might not be decades, but you know, if you're like me, I think most of us around between the ages of 30 and 40, we tend to have a certain level of awareness that strikes us where we just are tired of the shit, of the trying to survive. And it's really fun to start to realize you don't actually have to do what the system says, that life actually works out beautifully if you follow your heart and ignore the bullshit and the lies that the system says. I mean, why play their game? If you don't play their game, they can't win, because there's no more game. No one's playing. Anyways, have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.